everybody. Welcome to Mary Giuliani Live. I am so glad you're here tonight. We have a special show tonight, and it's all about women and bravery. And once a month, I do a show called Conscious Conversation Salon, and it's all about bringing everybody into the conversation instead of just me interviewing one person. So tonight, we're going to be discussing women and bravery and courage and all the things that we've been through to practice bravery and courage. And so my other bestie, Jesslynn Cody Armstrong, is with me. And so actually Jess and Carrie Palmer, who's been on the show several times, is my other best friend. We all met on a Hay House cruise called Speak, Write, Promote, where we're all working on books and stuff. So anyway, so Jess is another woman that's a thought leader, and I'm really excited to have her. But before we get into introducing her, I want to make sure that everybody knows what this show is all about. And so for the new people, it's all about transforming your life. I mean, this whole show is about bringing forth guests or topics that are all about doing what you love and going for what's in your heart and what's in your soul, and really learning how to be true to yourself, and knowing that it's okay to fall down, and that there's other people that are in a similar place or that have been in a similar place. And so it's just a really cool support system that I wanted to put together that can help you on your path, because that's what's really helped me on my path. So there's a few ways you can participate in the conversation tonight. To actually make comments about the topic or ask Jess or I questions, you need to go up to my website, which is right above me, marygiuliani.net, watch live. And right beneath the live stream box, there's a chat box. And all you need to do is log into the chat box. There's a little Facebook button there, so you can just click on it, and if you're already logged into Facebook, it'll automatically log you in, or you can register as a guest or whatever you want to do. But that's the only way that we can have you participate in the conversation, since I can't really manage Facebook and my website chat at the same time. So if you're on Facebook and you really don't want to participate, then hang out on Facebook. By the way, please share the feed while you're on Facebook to your friends so that other women can be empowered about courage and bravery. But if you are on Facebook and want to participate, just come over to marygiuliani.net, watch live, and get involved in the conversation. It's going to be really fun. If you are not on my email list, you need to be on my email list, because that way you'll find out who is coming up next week, and also every week. So every week I send out an email basically sharing who the guest is for the following Wednesday. And I also send out links for the guest that was on the previous week, or the conversation salon that was on the previous week, so you can get your link, whether it's an audio link only or video, whatever you prefer, to however you want to watch or listen to the show. So the other cool thing is I do have an iTunes channel, and if you tune in to or go to your iTunes app and just subscribe to Mary Giuliani Live, you'll get it every week. So there's that. Let's see. So hold on just a second here. Okay, so here we go. I'm really, really excited to bring on Jesslynn. She has been such a great friend of mine for a long time, and like I said, we met on this Hay House cruise, and she is actually she's actually joining us tonight from north of the 61st latitude in Alaska, where she's exploring the wilderness near the Arctic Circle during the salmon season. And this is a setting that is so perfect for her, because her partner is out to sea fishing, and she's been diving deep into the experiences of solitude, feminine mythology, and introspection of bravery. So Jesslynn, what she does is she's a holistic physiotherapist for reconnecting with the body's natural processes, and is a gyrotonic instructor for the spiral stretching of the connective tissue, and she also participates in avid photo taking and journaling to capture her adventures, which is being collected in a book that she is getting ready to publish that's called On the Edge of Terror and Bliss and a River of Happiness. And I may have messed up the title, so let me know, Jesslynn. And she shares her time between her wellness cooperative in Oklahoma, and living on a sailboat in Guatemala, among other travels. Jesslynn is a huge fan of women and bravery and believes in the ideas of protecting the wilderness. She believes in the ideas of protecting the wildishness within us all. So with that, let's bring on Jesslynn. Hey, Jesslynn.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Hello from Alaska.
I know. I was so thrilled to see that Jess had an outdoor background for this live stream salon, because it's so perfect, because that's really what you do. I didn't really go into it very deeply in your introduction, but for the past, year and a half, you have been traveling all over the world between the sailing adventures with Tyrone, your partner, and then all of the holistic activities you've been involved in. And Carrie and I always joke, we need to put a LoJack on you because we never know what country or continent you're on. So tell us,
That's so true.
tell us a little bit, if you don't mind, of how long you've been an adventure person, and what draws you to photo journaling and the adventure of travel like you have.
Well, first I need to thank Adam and Rebecca Rain for their beautiful setting in their backyard, and they have worked all day at making sure I have internet and power out here so we could get a live shot outside. But I grew up on the road. My dad was a truck driver, and my mom, bless her heart, she just kind of was okay with me packing my bag and going. And so I've been traveling my whole life. I've been to several different continents and countries, and I just love it. I just like being in other people's communities and getting to know their way of life and collecting their stories and taking photos and just enjoying it, eating their food and hanging out with their families.
Yeah, how fun.
It
So,
is.
and as far as when was the last time you were in Oklahoma? I'm just curious.
We left Oklahoma in June, beginning of June.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and we drove
Okay.
from Oklahoma to Alaska.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, so our topic tonight is all about women and bravery, and this is a topic that you brought up, which I love, because this whole journey, to me, unless you are practicing bravery and courage, it's really difficult to have a really fulfilling journey. So, what does bravery feel like for you, Jess?
Oh, it is a practice, and it's something that you have to be mindful and conscious of. For me, it's as simple as looking somebody in the eyes, whether they're walking towards you or they're saying something to you. It's saying thank you when you get a compliment instead of just brushing it off.
Yeah.
It feels like saying yes. It feels like saying no when you know it's not right. It feels like
Yeah.
knowing you need to stay and stick things out, or knowing when you need to walk away when something needs to go through that life-death cycle.
Yes.
It feels like being connected to the earth, and it has a fire in your stomach, and it makes your heart pound, and it feels like you're about to step off of a cliff or do something really wild and fun. But it's this bigger knowing with your heart wide open, to me.
Absolutely. There's just so many areas. It seems like every single area of life gives us the opportunity to exercise courage. For you, in terms of just what's going on in the world today, not necessarily politically, but maybe, if you wouldn't mind, just sharing kind of how do you exercise courage given the current climate in all aspects, spiritual, political, from a woman's standpoint?
Well, one thing that I really have been working on lately is not having too many expectations and allowing some space to hit pause. And there's a lot of things that I've just put space between myself and whatever it is. I have disengaged into quite a bit of the news stream and social media. For me, I had to step away from even owning a phone, because I got to the point where my phone was trading me, and every time I heard a noise, I was I was performing some act, and I was keeping score on social media. I think social media is a way, if you're not grounded and you're not fully in yourself, that you can constantly be checking to measure and see how much people are paying attention to you. And I just want to be my authentic self. And for me personally, I had to step away from the politics, the social media. I got rid of the cell phone. And I've really, this last couple of years, I've really withdrawn. And part of that, I think, is bravery for me, because I still run my business. I still have an employee and several people that count on me to communicate with me. Now I'm just a little bit more diligent in reaching out and checking in, instead of just assuming that information is going to come my way. It's a little bit more selective now, I guess. As a woman in this society, I think you've got to get off autopilot. You got to stop the jabbering and the back noise, and you got to be more selective in what you want to feed yourself and what you want to keep your heart open to.
Absolutely. By the way, Jane Winter is with us from Hawaii. Hi, Jane. It's so good
nice.
to see you.
What island? That's wonderful.
Kauai.
I have been there.
And Jane says she loves gyrotonics.
Good.
Gyrotonics,
Yes, I've trained on the island with my girlfriend Kira. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Mahalo.
Anyway, so I thought maybe I would share a little bit about what courage is for me. And for me, it's about taking an action or speaking a truth to myself, or a person, or a group, or something related to a circumstance that may result in my getting hurt or someone else feeling hurt on an emotional, physical, spiritual, financial, whatever level. So it's like, to me, it's all tied up with the fear of loss. Like, I'm either going to lose face if I fail, or someone else may feel hurt or disappointed with me if I say no or change my mind or something like that. You know what I mean? And so the courage is about being true to myself, even if someone else is going to judge me. And I guess the risk there would be that if I owned what they thought about me, then I could be hurt. But if I'm not attached to what they think about me, then I can make myself a lot less vulnerable to that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Being in yourself, doing the work, spending the time in solitude, and figuring out who you are and that you are enough. I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
totally. And yet, the other thing I put down on my side of the list was the enormous rewards of practicing courage and bravery. Just the feeling of self-efficacy, of knowing that I can walk through something and be uncomfortable and really scared, and yet I can walk through it and get through it and have some successes, maybe have some failures or challenges, but the fact that I went through it makes it not so scary the second time. And that's one of those sayings that I learned in the 12-step meetings about just face your fears and you don't have to have them anymore. And it really is true. You know what I mean? Although I must say, though, that there are certain issues and wounds that can be so deep that they do require a very tender journey into before, there's baby steps that are required.
Before you engage. Yeah, before you engage in society. Yeah, and again, I am a big proponent of solitude. The only way that you can really work on those wounds, the only way that you can actually soften old scar tissue and put healing balm on new wounds is taking the time to step back, put some space in there, hit pause, and really do the self-work, dive deep, and get vulnerable with yourself.
Right, exactly. So I'm just curious, Jess, like with the work you do, which is physiotherapy on a more of a holistic level, and you're a writer with adventure journalism intertwined, which I love. how does that relate to women and courage and bravery? Like for women that you see as clients? I'm just curious.
Right. Well, first of all, I'm a trained medical massage therapist. So most of my clients are completely nude, underneath a sheet, on a massage table in a very professional way. And so in women in particular, some women may have some body issues. A lot of tender spots for women is scar tissue, whether they've had a cesarean for birth. Just touching that abdomen or that place where there's a scar. A lot of women are conscientious about cellulite and fat rolls, and my boobs are saggy, and I don't look the same anymore, and I just come at it as, oh my gosh, I don't see any of those things. You're a beautiful human being. You got this skin and these muscles, you got connective tissue, and this is my training, and this is my gift. And so putting people at ease and letting us all know that this is just a fleshy skin suit, and we're spinning on this rock going through space. There's so much more to life than that vulnerability when you're getting body work done. And as far as Gyrotonic is a very deep unwinding of movement that articulates the spine and helps you get blood flow, and it releases a lot of tissue that may not have been moving in full range of motion. And there is some past memories in that. And some people, whether it was an accident or abuse or a fall or a scare, or maybe just a certain feeling from the past memory, if you go into that place in your body and you try to move that there again, it can be a little alarming or scary. So in my work, I just try to help them all know that, hey, we're all human, we're doing the best that we can. And with my writing, I write in a very sarcastic, silly way that tells people's stories, and points out that we're all just pieces of humanity, and I'm just trying to collect them so we can all feel like we're still connected.
I love that. That's so sweet.
Thank you.
One of the things you said reminded me of the Brene Brown work that has been so profound for me. And one of the things she talks about, I know, is how like 90% of women have shame about their bodies. And it's no surprise in a sense, because we have such a body shaming sort of culture. I mean, just unless you have this certain size, which is practically unattainable and like 99% of women don't have. And then unless you look like these photoshopped images on magazines that aren't even literally, they're these I don't know if you're aware of this, but maybe you are and maybe other women are, but a lot of women are not aware of the fact that a lot of the images on covers of magazines of women are literally body parts that are put together from different people's bodies just to make them look optimal.
What a chop shop.
I know. Yeah, so it's like, so the point is that we're made to think we're supposed to look like this combination of ideal body parts that are not even from one person.
No. And I want to comment on that, Mary, because coming into the gyrotonic world, I am not a trained dancer. I did not grow up in Pilates. I'm not a bodybuilder. I actually have to work incredibly hard to even get my body to coordinate on certain moves. And the people who have trained with me all over the world, they know my heart, and they know how hard I have to work to get some of my body parts to behave. But I just feel like if you are in your body and you're happy and you got the energy to do what you want to do, and your brain is on, you're turned on, you're tapped in, and you are on spot with your thoughts and your feelings, and you're enjoying life, then go for it. It really doesn't matter what shape your body is, because there's a lot of energy in every shape.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing. It's like, for me, having weighed 160 pounds more than I do now, and so being on the whole range of the spectrum of being morbidly obese to being somewhat overweight to being normal weight, at the end of the day, it's like I just had to get okay with making peace with my body, with myself, and part of that is just not engaging in some of the advertising messages that you see. So you don't watch as many TV shows, or you skip through the commercials, or when you do see advertisements that are like objectifying women, or putting the value of a woman on her body, that you make a comment if you're in a group of people, and versus just letting it slip by without, saying, you know what, that's like totally not okay. So what is your thought about that?
Well, I have noticed when I start getting judgy or have a critical eye or start making comments about anything and everything I see, I realize that there's a need in me that's not being fulfilled, and I'm the only one that can fulfill it. And normally it's something's happening inside of me that I feel like I needed to distract other people from looking at, so I point at other things or other people.
Right.
And that's just a coping mechanism that's going on autopilot. It's not being conscious, and it's just not a healthy habit. And I'm working on overcoming that, learning that there's something going on with me. And I want to comment about normal weight. Normal weight needs to be, again, what feels good with you. I mean, we all fluctuate, maybe between 5, 15, 20 pounds, but I know what I feel good at and what I can do. And one of the coolest things about traveling so much is that so many different cultures have so many different ways of looking at beauty in the body. And a lot of cultures aren't hung up on the same areas that we are with body image and women. And so I really like being around people from all over the world, and being in a tropical place like Guatemala in the Caribbean. You get to wear very few clothes, and it feels so good. You're like in a sauna all day, and you just sweat, and you eat fresh food, and you don't really care what you look like. I mean, everybody is a mess down there.
I'm just curious. So what do you notice, like, in other countries that don't have as much of a focus on a woman's body as being her worth? What's different about how that dynamic plays out? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Well, what I've noticed in Europe, which I frequent Germany quite a bit, and I have quite a few German friends, is, we go to the bathhouses in Germany, whether it's in Baden-Baden or in Heidelberg, and we're all nude, and it's mixed, and it's not a big deal. You don't get stared down. You don't get ogled. People don't sit there and crack jokes about old people. It's very respectful. Wow. It's quiet.
That's great.
Nobody's staring at you. It's this, there's kids in there. There's parents. There's couples. There's single people.
So there's no weird energy about seeing bodies or different bodies.
No, and it's not, yeah. Oh, and that reminds me, we don't even own a television, and again, just disengaging, like you were talking about those magazine ads and TV and stuff like that. I just don't feel like it's necessary. None of this is really necessary. Again, be selective in what you choose to look at and what you put your energy into.
Well, by the way, there's a guest, or excuse me, someone in our chat room, Courtney C. Elizondo, who says,
"Hey, Courtney!"
Yeah, so you know her. Good.
Oh gosh, I was in college with her.
Oh, cool. She says that you do such a great job of acceptance and setting people at ease, in addition to wonderful healing insights, and she loves the ideas that you're talking about. So, yay.
Oh, Courtney, I love you. You have been such a good friend for so many years, and it's been so fun keeping up with you. Tell Daniel hi for me.
Yeah. So another piece that we really talked about, some of the topics that we wanted to go over, and by the way, for the guests that are in the chat room, feel free to put out a topic that you would like to talk about too. We'd love to have you suggest something. Let's see. There was another topic, was something about, I know, can bravery be taught? What is your feeling about that, Jess?
I do think bravery can be taught. I think that you have to come from a strong bloodline. If you're lucky enough to have some really strong people, men and women, then you're golden and you're a little bit more ahead of the game. If you get dealt just a really crappy childhood and you're born into a family that is just completely tuned out and would rather have their faces in their phone, these little girls are going to have to find mentors. And there's another reason why I'm writing my book it's kind of this journey that's got poems and recipes from all over the world that I've written. And it's something that's a coffee table sized book that I hope that somebody could just flip open and get the information they need. And that's often what happens for me. Right now, I've been devouring Women Who Run with the Wolves. And I'll be in a moment I got to hit pause and figure out what is going on and find my bravery in the moment and the right path for me. And I'll flip open that book, and every time is exactly what I need to hear. And so if you're not endowed with bravery from your upbringing, then I do think it can be taught with role models, finding the right people, getting engaged in the right programs, finding that book that calls to your heart and always speaks to your soul. And now with this technology, I mean, you can download podcasts, you can listen to anything you want, you know, in the car or on your iPod. And I mean, there's just so many options now that you can just fill your cup up with things to teach you about being more brave.
Absolutely. Well, hey, guess what? Jess, Carrie, our buddy Carrie, just
hey, Carrie,
made a comment that let's see, where are you? When you stop, hold on, I gotta figure out how to work on this chat app here. Okay. When you stop thinking about your weight and take the focus off the thoughts, the weight falls off. I'm living proof. Which is great. Yep. Great.
And Carrie is so fit. I love it that she's still playing soccer and running her legs off every time we talk to her.
Yeah.
And that's the point, is you got to find something that you love. I mean, right. I had to find something that makes my heart soar, and yes. And I think that's being brave too. Is you don't need to follow the crowd. Oh my God, yes. It doesn't need to look like anything in particular. It's just got to make your heart sing, and your soul's got to stay on fire, and you got to feel like $1 million when you're done.
Absolutely. Well, here is Jane Winter has a comment. When I am trusting the universe and spirit, I have a lot less need to be brave. When I'm afraid, when I'm doing something new, like doing a teleconference with Mary, if I return to the universe has me, I'm much less afraid. What do you think about that? When I am trusting the universe and spirit, I have a lot less need to be brave. When I'm afraid, okay, wait, I think that was just, actually it was just a duplicate message there. Okay, so what I'm hearing from Jane is that when you do have a sense of trust that no matter what happens, it'll all be for the highest good, then it isn't as scary to be brave. Right. Although, yes, and I love Jane and I are working together. I'm helping her do a live stream thing on gracefully aging, but it's going to be through Zoom. And anyway, so but great. The point I think I wanted to make here is that yes, we need to, what I found is I need to trust the universe, because if I don't trust the universe, I'm just going to be like a nervous wreck and like obsessed and controlling. But if I trust the universe and I take action and let go of the outcome, then that's when I've been the happiest in my life. Because if I don't take any action and just hope that things just show up, then typically nothing happens. But if I take action when I'm, in my heart and let go of the results, then the universe can meet me halfway. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And if we want to talk about the chakra system, really you have to develop those first 3 chakras. And again, like if you're born into a family that just didn't quite have it together, or maybe you asked for a ton of contrast before you were born. Yeah. You wanted a hard dose. You can, even at whatever age you are, you can still work through developing those qualities and personality traits and skills at those chakra levels. Again, I think that there has to be that baseline that you are taken care of. Just look at where you are. I mean, you've come this far. And and often when I do my meditation, just coming back into myself feels so good. I don't know what's going to happen in the next moment. I don't know what's going to happen after this phone call. I have no idea what's happening tomorrow. I mean, it just is. And if you can just stay in the is moment, it feels so much better.
Yes. And I mean, I think that's the whole key is just learning how to be present and just be okay with whatever comes up in the present moment. You know, I
Yep.
mean,
Yep.
so funny. I did a lot of training with law of attraction for many years. And one of the biggest premises with that is that there's nothing more important than you feel good. But you know
Yep.
what? I would like to amend that and just say there's nothing more important than that you feel, period.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and that's where I was going. I think in this modern day, it's really easy to numb yourself. It's really easy to distract yourself. It's amazing since I don't have a phone. I obviously do a lot of people watching and just hang outside and play,
Yeah.
especially here. I mean, we ride bikes and we go to lakes and we go to barbecues and just stay outside because the sun doesn't set in the summertime. So you're just always awake. But I watch people, and even if there is one moment, literally, if you're waiting for somebody to open a door, they will pick up their phone and check it, or they can't
Yes.
stand the
Yes.
idea of a moment of solitude or of quietness, or because again, you have to be brave. You have to be willing to accept what may be coming through your mind and what thoughts you
Right.
may have. And then it's your
Right.
job, like the law of attraction teaches, that you've got to be that point of attraction for what you want.
Yeah, and
And
it's totally true. It's like what I'm noticing is that the whole digital thing has created even more of a reactive sort of trance that people are in. You know, they're always like, okay, is everything okay? You know, do I have any alerts on my phone, or
yeah,
do I have an email or text? And it's
Yeah.
like, no, I mean, yeah. So it's, do I have any new likes on my Facebook? And it just puts you in this constant reactive mode versus what do I want to create with my energy, my time, my moment, my now, you know? And it'll suck all the energy you have if you let it. I mean, it really
Yes,
will.
and that's what changed my life. I was totally in that mode. I was running a business. I was very busy. I was working 7 days a week, and I felt very loyal and obligated to my clients. I wanted the very best for them. I wanted to give them my very best, and I was fearful of letting them down. And I was to the point where my phone was constantly going off. People were always running to get in. I had people on a waiting list, and it was starting to stress me out. And then my dad got sick. And so at one point in my life, I had my mom who just retired, and I asked her to move from Missouri to Oklahoma to be with me. She was living upstairs. And then my dad got sick, and so I moved him in downstairs. I converted my treatment room into a healing room for him. And to care for somebody who has cancer of the throat, who can't really swallow, and to be juicing for him and helping him as much as he can and having fresh organic produce in the house. I was used to being, and I'm an only child too, so I'm used to just doing what I want, when I want, and everything's cool. And my parents raised me to just do your thing. We want you to be happy and just check in with us every once in a while and don't die. So all of a sudden, when both my parents needed me, my life really changed, and I got the life sucked out of me trying to hold up my career and take care of my dad. And so when my dad passed away in my home, it was that day that I saw the advertisement for the Hay House cruise to Alaska. My mom was turning 60. And we signed up for that, and that's how I met you and Carrie. And so from then on, I decided that life is not worth going breakneck speeds if you cannot do what's most important. And so the last 2 years has been about slowing down and getting in touch with myself. My dad passed away when he just turned 60, and I'll be 33 on Sunday. Thank you, Mary. And I just I don't know how long I have on this planet, and I want every moment to count. And I certainly am not going to be wasting on something that doesn't matter.
Well, and I so acknowledge you, because it seems like the energy of your generation, if you let it if you just kind of went to sleep and didn't really be true to yourself, it would suck you right into the whole consumerism material. You have to be wearing a certain thing and looking a certain way, and you know what I mean, having a certain job, and yet you're being true to yourself. I mean, you're literally an international traveler, an adventure journalist, a photojournalist, and a holistic physiotherapist, and you're just like living this dream that so many women would love to do. But so what is it that really, what were the key sort of courage practices that got you to the place where you were willing to do this?
Well, really, it came time for me to look at what was really important to me. Financially, what I did was I got rid of any bills that weren't necessary. So like the cell phone bill, like got rid of that. There's so many places that have internet nowadays. My clients' homes have Wi-Fi. I can log in there if I need to. I bought a Prius. So it literally cost us like 6 cents a mile to drive up here to Alaska. I was able to
6 cents a mile. Is that right?
Yeah, and since we left Oklahoma, I have put on a few more miles since I left my partner in Anchorage, but we've done 5,400 so far today, just since June. But what really helped me is I was a little wrapped up in this idea of planning for the future and retirement, investing in funds and IRAs and all this stuff. And then suddenly it hit me one day that really those platforms are for people who are making a lot more money than I am. And I was paying a lot in fees. And I realized, well, what am I really saving for? The only thing that could happen to me is if I couldn't massage, and then I wouldn't be able to pay my bills. So why don't I just start paying my bills ahead? So I started paying my bills 6 months ahead. And all of a sudden, my idea of work turned more into an abundance. I was going to work and seeing clients and working in Gyrotonic because I had an abundance. My bills were already paid. I was just having fun. And I would work really hard for 3 to 4 weeks, super focused. And then I would just go off somewhere, whether I drive or fly, and advertise that I was going to be in town, pick up some clients, have enough money for some food. And the thing is I don't keep up with the current fashions. Most of my clothes that I wear, somebody gave me. If you take good care of your shoes, you only need a couple of pairs. My hair, hair does
minimalist. You're kind of a minimalist, right? I mean, which is great. I love that.
So that for modern women right now and women who are younger or older, there are lots of things you could do to make your life more simple, to allow you a little bit more freedom, so that you can pull back into your heart and figure out who you are and do the work within to keep that connection to your inner self.
Good for you. Well, that's awesome.
Oh, thank you, Mary.
For me, I keep coming back to the need, if you're at a place, for the women that are watching that are out there, if you're in a place in your life where you maybe aren't feeling the sense of satisfaction or fulfillment with your work or your relationships, it takes courage to make changes. Let's face it. It's uncomfortable to go out and either apply for new jobs or start a business or end a relationship or change a relationship. I mean, it's uncomfortable. And yet, one of the sayings that has always been really powerful for me is that if we're willing to feel the pain, we can give up the suffering. So if I'm willing to feel the sting of, the hard conversation with a relationship that is not working, whether it's a business or personal, whatever. If I'm willing to feel that sting, then it either opens up for that relationship to heal and move in a direction that works for both of us, or for it to end, possibly. But then it opens up the universe for new things, and that's I think that the biggest tragedy is that we can allow fear to keep us stuck in a rut, and then we just let our lives sort of just waste away and wonder if we're wasting our life. And unfortunately, you probably are, if that's how you feel, you know. And I know it's kind of hard. I mean, I know it's hard to say that, but that's what I had to like face that truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Well,
I'm
if you feel
57.
it and you know it.
Yeah. And it's like, if you know that, if you look back on, let's say if you look, okay, so like the next 5 years, if you look at the next 5 years of your life and think, okay, in terms of where I am with work and relationships and health or whatever, am I on track to be living the kind of life that I want to be living right now? You know, not when something happens, but am I in that lifestyle right now? And if you really can't say yes to that, then there's some choices that, yeah, it's a no, and you're going to end up with regrets at the end of your life. And so
yeah.
It's better to face the pain and, you know, so you can give up
or
the
suffering. Fear.
And
yeah.
And the deal
is.
The deal is, though, is that you have to put yourself in environments and in relationships with people that have a similar focus and attitude and mindset. Because you can't get there if you still hang out with your family that says that you're stupid or, you know, crazy for being true to yourself and you'll never make a living and you'll be a bag lady or whatever, you know. I mean, let's face it, if we follow people that are just doing sort of like the status quo, we're not going to get, you know, what we want. No. So anyway, I just wanted to say that.
No, I totally agree with that.
Oh, and by the way, Carrie Palmer has a comment on that. People are afraid to change their story. That's the scariest. Kyle Cease, is a teacher that we've all gotten into. It's the thought about jumping out of the plane, not the jump. Oh, that's really good, Carrie. Thanks for bringing that up. So what she's referring to is what is the scariest piece for us is the thought of doing it, not the actual jump. So like if you're jumping out of a plane, it's not, once you've jumped, you're committed. But it's the thought of deciding to jump is where the scariness really lies. So if you can put the support structures in place for that, then you have a much better chance of moving through those, you know, basically life, you know, that whole saying, life begins at the edge of your comfort zone.
Yep. And again, like, we're not telling people, like, if you want to be brave, then you got to do something wild and dangerous or something. Really, just keep taking some small steps every day is bravery.
Absolutely.
Like you said,
and that's the thing. Yeah, go ahead.
If it's not a yes in your life, it's a no. And so if you're doing anything in your life right now that doesn't feel good, that's not an absolute yes, then let it go. And just little pieces of it. And just see what happens. Find yourself having a few extra moments where, you know, maybe you could just take care of you and be in love with who you are. And look around your surroundings. You never know how many people, if you just look up from your phone or from your smart device, or if you go and engage at dinner time and look up at people and actually smile at them and talk to them.
Absolutely.
It changes people's hearts.
Totally. I mean, totally. And I, you know, I'm really glad you brought up the idea of baby steps. And really, the last thing that's going to be effective is to beat yourself up for not being where you want to be. I mean, if we can just have self-compassion, because that's where I had to come from. I had to come from a place of, Mary, your life isn't working. Let's have some compassion for you versus adding insult to injury and saying, you stupid idiot, you know, why isn't your life working? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because why can't you get it together?
Our culture will have us, you know, beat the heck out of us to thinking that it's going to help, and it doesn't. It really does require self-compassion, self-forgiveness, because I'm a firm believer in if we could have done better, we would have. And we, you know, if we had the capacity, we might know better, but we didn't have the capacity to act differently. So that's it is what it is.
Yes. And something I want to talk about is how I think our society has been replacing or crowding out the idea of morals and personalities and character for being smart or intelligent or being able to speak on certain topics and sound good. It sounding smart does not replace the idea of living an authentic life.
Right. It's another attempt at getting approval from the external versus just having internal approval and having that carry your message. It's like, I love that saying, your life is your message, you know?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And that's something I've had to work on is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure, since we're at 7:45, we've got about another maybe 7 minutes.
Okay.
Wanted to make sure we covered the mythology piece on Bravery and the hero's journey. So. So, would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yes. I like I said, I've been really diving into Women Who Run with Wolves. Anybody who doesn't know that book, you can pick up a used copy anywhere.
I've heard about it for years, but I've never read it, so I'm glad you're bringing it up.
It's so good. It really walks through. It is mostly towards women, but men can read it too. In fact, I would love it if men would read it. But it's this idea that mythology is there for us. And I think in our modern sense, people have forgotten what the definition or what the meaning of mythology is, especially with the popular TV shows like Mythbusters and ghost stories and all this stuff. Myth is not supposed to be factual or historical, and it's not there for science to try to prove. A myth is a way of telling something that is beyond language and beyond our understanding that happens in human experience. It's a way to convey a life that has been lived and something's been learned. And so another person that is probably the biggest one that we know is Joseph Campbell. And he wrote A Hero with 1,000 Faces. And recently I read The Hero's Journey, which is all about how he came about his work. And what was really interesting is that he got a job. Well, during the Depression, he held himself up in a cabin in the woods, and he read for 5 years. And then he got a job at the Sarah Lawrence College teaching women. And he walked in there with all this knowledge, and he thought he was just going to teach everybody about myth. And these women said, well, how does this apply to my life? Where's the heart in this? And so he actually learned how to teach to the heart and help people understand that our human experiences are not unique or rare. They are internally ours, and the details are very intimate within ourselves. But humans, for all of our lifetime, have been going through these things. And a mythology is a beautiful way of describing that experience. And I think that Joseph Campbell and the Women Who Run with Wolves does an excellent job, especially for women, helping them teach some backbone and a way to navigate different experiences. Again, and putting some space in there, finding that solitude to figure out who you are.
I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
You know, the hero's journey has been such a great sort of. Would you call that a mythology? Is that what that is, or?
Joseph Campbell wrote The Hero with 1,000 Faces, which is kind of the archetypes of the hero, and then the hero's journey is more about his journey, teaching mythology. Yeah.
But you know, like the whole journey about how the person gets the call and then they go out into the, what is it, the non-reality or anyway, I can't remember what they call it. But anyway, you go out you go out on the search, and then you like slay the hydras, like the dragons, right? And then so basically it's great, because to me that's what life is about. It's a journey. We're all on a journey, and we're all here to learn and you know, kind of slay our own dragons. And then once you slay the dragons, there's this elixir in the story that you're supposed to find. It's like the Holy Grail. It's like the answer to life, and then you bring it back to the people to show that this is a way that you can create a life that you love. Yeah. And so to me, that's what all of our paths are about, and that's why I love this show, because it highlights people's hero's journey. Does that make sense?
Yes, It does. It so does. And really, go live your journey, whatever it looks like, wherever it is in the world, with whoever you love and whoever you want to be with.
Yeah.
Just take that step, go for it. But again,
just take the first step. Yeah.
Yeah, I know I've been saying this a lot, but really it's in the solitude. Turn off the devices, get away from the television, go put your feet in the dirt, go find some quiet moments, and find what makes your heart soar. Because again, if it's not a yes, it's a no, so just let it go.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. It even rhymes. If it's not a yes, it's a no, so just let it go.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what was I going to say? Okay, wait. I just had a couple of things I wanted to make sure. Really quick, because this is important too, is what happens when women outbrave men, and how can you deal with that?
Oh, again.
So, in other words, are there consequences when you're out competing or out doing men in terms of bravery? Go ahead.
Only if one of the people in the party are keeping score. I love being in partnership with people. I love working together as a team. Some of my favorite moments have been just being single-minded with a goal in mind and going for it, and being so tuned in that you can read each other's minds. You know what the next person needs to do, what the next step is, and how to fulfill that. And when you're in that moment, you don't have time to think, well, I could have done that better, or, well, boy, I took up the slack there. Again, what is it that you're missing in your life that you need to say those things?
Right.
So,
exactly.
I brought that.
I totally agree.
I brought that piece up just for us to talk about how those days of us comparing things are gone. It's a waste. Right. And people need to play to their strengths, learn new skills, and just have a good time to support each other.
Awesome. I love that. Well, thank you. Well, since we're just about out of time, Jess, I wanted to, well, first of all, what's next for your journey? You're going to be in Alaska for how long?
Well, I'm not really sure how long we're going to be here. I'm only like 600 miles from the Arctic Circle, so I think a drive to the end of the road needs to happen. Nice. We've got friends down in Whitehorse in the Yukon in Canada that are wanting me to visit again for my birthday. The Prius, I mean, man, that thing just keeps going. It's so cheap to drive it, and we sleep in it whenever we're on the road. Yeah.
I love it.
We will be coming back down to the lower 48 at some point. And Guatemala will happen again. There's still plenty to do down there and see all of our friends. And I'm got my fingers and toes crossed for Cuba this winter. I really want to scuba dive and snorkel Cuba. We also have a goal of
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
We also have a goal to get our boats up to Maine to see some really close friends. I want to do the Northwest Passage, but also I want to get over to Europe too. So we'll see. But I've got quite a bit going on this side of the States too for this year. So we'll just see what happens. Yeah.
And could you share with the viewers the name of your book and when you anticipate getting it out there?
Oh, wow. I have no expectation for when it's going to be too far out there. On a great tip by a friend that's a graphic designer, he said, well, why don't you just work on the format of it? So I'm using Snapfish as a way to organize my book, and it's a cheap way to get one printed. So my goal is to have it printed and have a copy sent to an address by the time we leave Alaska. And it's called Living on the Edge of Terror in a River of Happiness.
I love it. I love it. That's such a great
because that's what bravery feels like for me.
Yeah, and you're living it every single day. So I love that. And how can people, if people want to work with you, how can they work with you?
Well, you can find me on my email or on Facebook. I use Messenger quite a bit on Facebook to keep up with friends. My email is my name, so it's JesslynnArmstrong@gmail.com. And you can find me at Jesslynn Cody Armstrong on Facebook. And I am teaching gyrotonic and gyrokinesis all over the world with anybody who wants to move with me. I always have a massage table with me. And hopefully this book will give people another fun way to flip through some courageous adventures with people's stories that are pieces of all of our humanity.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Jesslynn. This has been so much fun. And I want to have you on when you have the book done too, so we can go through and go through the different adventures in your book. That would be really, really fun. So,
oh, I love that. More motivation.
And then I get to see you and Carrie soon up in Oregon.
Yes.
We're going to all get together for our little
the cabin. Yep.
Just so you know, I wanted to just share a couple things from the chat area. Well, Jane acknowledged that this has been a beautiful, inspiring discussion. Thank you for the show. And then Carrie says, tell Jess that you look radiant in the sun of Alaska. And yes, you do. Oh, and also Carrie says, can you see Russia from there?
No. I will have to ask my partner when he gets off the boat from fishing, could you see Russia? But I did go to the Anchorage Museum, which I highly recommend. I'm not much a museum person because I think they highlight weird things we don't need to highlight. But there was a lot of history about some of our friends in Russia that was very interesting.
Oh, cool.
Trust me, if there's a way for us to fly over to Russia or sail over there right now, I'm going to figure it out. We've got our passports.
Okay, Jess. Well, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the show, and I can't wait to have you on again. And we'll see you soon.
Oh, thank you so much, Mary. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I do love everybody.
Okay, bye. All right, that was awesome. That's my BFF, Jesslynn Cody Armstrong. So, yay, Jess. I do have a couple of more announcements, and then we're going to wrap up for the evening. I always like to put out a coaching tip that's related to the topic. And since the topic is all about practicing bravery and courage, I really want to encourage you and challenge you to take on one thing. If there was one action you could take that could make a really profound difference or a significant difference in your life that required you to step into a new level of courage, I want to challenge you to make a declaration to yourself that you're going to do it, put it on your calendar, and take the next step, just the next step, on whatever that is. Put it on your calendar so you'll do it and let us know how it went. Then the other couple of announcements I have is that as I said, I am a life coach. I've been coaching women and men and business owners for the past 20 plus years. And I have a couple of kinds of coaching I do. I actually work with live stream clients that are like Jesslynn or other holistic or personal growth related people that want to get their message out there through video platforms or live streaming. And you don't even have to have any kind of technical background. All you have to do is log in online, and I can actually produce your show without people even seeing me at all. So if you're interested in having your own program or even just like a seminar or on Zoom or Skype, I can help you with that too. So just go up to my website, marygiuliani.net, and go to the coaching section or live stream for that. And then for the coaching, I actually work with a specific population. I work with women that are in midlife that are really just aching to do what they love to do, that are really wanting to get their gift out there before they die. So typically the women I work with are in 45 to 65 and just have this compelling desire to get their work out there. And I can help you. I've been there, believe me. And so just go up to my website and go to the coaching section, and there's some more info on that. And let's see, anything else I can think of? I don't think so, other than, of course, the main thing of this show is really about being true to yourself. So I always like to ask everybody at the last moment of the show is, what's one thing you can do to be true to yourself? And make sure you do it. Put it on your calendar, make a note to yourself, and really do it by tomorrow. And you will be amazed at what happens when you do so. So have a great week, everybody. Oh, can't forget, next week, oh my God, my guest is Susan Lander. She's a psychic medium. She's a psychic medium, and she's a Hay House author, and she wrote the book Conversations with History, which is, check this out, it's all about conversations with historical figures like Benjamin Franklin, and or even like celebrities and stuff too. So it's really interesting. And she was on, actually, she was at a Hay House Speak, Write, Promote like Jess and Carrie and I were, and she actually won the contest where she is now a Hay House author, and her life is really taking off. So make sure you tune in next week, and you can ask her questions as well. So with that, have a great week, everybody, and be true to yourself, okay? Bye-bye.